What are some of your favorite scenes, or do you have favorite scenes that, or favorite films that you like to refer to for editing and their style?
Um, I think editorially, I'm kind of old school. I harken back to times where I personally felt a revelation from watching something. One of the television shows that did that for me, and film has always had its innovators. Film has always been much more plastic in terms of technique. Television moves less radically, and is much more traditional in repeating its formula. I remember watching Homicide: Life on the Street, which is a show from the 80s, and it's dated because my students like, what, who, what, where, and they used a certain style of sound editing where the dialogue of the next scene, not just the ambient sound, but the dialogue of the next scene would start permeating through an existing, as the scene was ending. And I found that so profound because like how, kind of think about uh, pieces of film as not butt spliced, but kind of like this dovetail. They're kind of intermeshing and interlocking. Um, I would say, broadly speaking, I always think about editing styles that pay more attention, not just pay attention equally to how the film is moving longitudinally, but also latitudinally. What is happening across what you're listening to in the background, what the dialogue is doing, what the score is doing, and also what other images are doing in connection with the main story. Being a documentary maker, I love stories which allow for us to think about more historic, traditional ways of doing, for instance, simple things like we use a lot of archival material in documentaries. And there are always interesting ways in which people have presented archival footage. One of my most vivid memories is the film Atomic Cafe, which was made from FO, what is it called, Freedom of Information Act, or access to archival material that the filmmakers requested. And I always think about telling students that if you're looking to work in archive, there's no better model to look at than the Atomic Cafe. But more contemporary films, I think of Strong Island as one of my favorite documentary films that makes such creative use of photographs that traditionally, yes, it's an effective, but also a very tired style, the Ken Burns, pan and zoom kind of stuff. But Strong Island makes such wonderful use of photographs laid out by the person. So you see the person who is looking at the photographs, and it's not just the filmmaker who has scanned them and taken them to another place. So there's a very strong linkage between the person looking at the film and the viewer looking at these photographs with them. Those are a few that come to mind in the interactive world. My inspiration for the kind of stories that resulted in Body Home World, which is the interactive project that we were discussing, was a Canadian series done by Kat Zizek from the National Film Board of Canada, which was called High Rise. And High Rise was a 5-year multi-part project that was funded, God bless tax-funded filmmaking, because that form of experimentation would not find a place in the American ecosystem. But the Canadians pulled it off. And it's such a thoughtful, innovative, path-breaking series of films that, unfortunately, with the death of Flash, many parts of that project are no longer available to the wider public. I'm sure that in the Wayback Machine, there are screen grabs and so on. But that's one of the perils, is if you move one of the pieces out, it's like Jenga, it just falls apart. Unlike old media, which is there.